Hello guys, welcome back. I'm Barry, and first of all, right now I'd like to thank you guys for the support on yesterday's video. If you'd like to, however, just get into the meat and potatoes of this video, I will add chapters to this video. So if you'd like to, you can just skip toward the next chapter where we're going to go into Yakuza Kiwami. But first of all, thank you guys so much for the support and the love you've shown me on yesterday's video. For over 400 views, 18 people who took the time out of their day to actually comment something on my video, and 13 people who have subscribed to my channel. Thank you guys so much. It means a lot to me. Even more so because I thought that the video I uploaded yesterday would probably get around, like, I don't know, 20 to 30 views. So I'm really happy and really grateful. Thank you guys so much. So, and thank you to, I'm so sorry I'm about to butcher your name, Dmitry Krivonosov, who gave me the idea for today's video and gave me an excuse, a perfect one at that, to show off how Yakuza, or the Yakuza game series, is running on the GPD Win 3. So right off the top, if you've seen my video yesterday, you're going to notice a tiny difference today, hopefully. And that is, I have added the MSI Afterburner overlay onto my gameplay. So right here, you can see the GPU usage, the CPU usage, and the CPU package power that is currently being used, as well as, of course, the frames per second we are hitting on these games. So, let me just quickly load a save. Kiwami 1. A remake of the first Yakuza game. So, I have preset all of these games to, let me just quickly check, ultra graphics, as well as kept the refresh rate and in later games the FPS limit to unlimited. So you guys are able to tell with this FPS counter here how bad the fluctuation gets. So currently we are running our i7 chip with about 22 watts, 25 watts ish, and we're pretty much getting a solid 60 frames per second currently. So let's get into a fight and let's see how good / bad the FPS gets. Please excuse my terrible gameplay. However, today I do have kind of an excuse for that, actually. So, I'm currently playing through the viewfinder on my camera that I'm using, and that isn't really that easy. Truth be told, I always thought, man, these review type YouTubers do really suck at these games. This is really freaking hard. So, oh yeah, I forgot. In Kiwami, when you do this finishing leg spin that Kiryu does, you lose heat and energy. So I kind of forgot about that. So of course I couldn't show you guys a heat attack, since that requires heat. Now let's see if we can gather some heat. Yeah, there we go. So basically, pretty much, we're hitting a solid 60 frames, sometimes dipping down to low 50s. However, it averages around like 55 FPS. If I didn't have an FPS counter sitting up there, I probably would be thinking Yep, that's 60 FPS, alright. So. After this fight, let's try to go to Theater Square, the most crowded place in Yakuza, or in most of the Yakuza parts actually. Let me just quickly go there. Nope, we do not want to fight again. Let's just run away from that encounter. However, I think this is a good enough showcase. We're running pretty fast and rendering a lot of people doing so. And as you can see, it at most really dips down into the high 40s, like 48 frames per second, and mostly stays even above that at like 50 frames per second, which is still pretty amazing in comparison to the GPD Win Max. So Tiger Lake, in what I can already see, is incredibly solid. So let's take the cab to Theater Square and see how well the GPD Win 3. Ooh, there we went down to 39.40. Let's try and run away from these guys. And now we're at Theater Square, the most crowded area in Yakuza, and we're still hitting about 50-ish frames a second. And the most noteworthy part about the upgrade from the Win Max, so Ice Lake to Tiger Lake, in my opinion, is I played around today with all of the Yakuza parts where I used to have troubles in terms of cutscenes crashing, and Yakuza 0 and Kiwami 1 were by far the worst offenders in that regard. However, after testing for about 2 to 3 hours today, I didn't have any problems with crashing cutscenes, which is very, very, very refreshing to see, since that was one of the things that really, really bugged me on my first playthrough on Yakuza 0 and Kiwami 1. So, now that we've won an II, let's hop straight over to Kiwami 2. So, now we're at Kiwami 2. So, the big difference between Kiwami 1 and Kiwami 2 is that for Kiwami 2, they swapped game engines. Kiwami 2 is running on the newer Dragon engine, which is used in, I think, I could be wrong, Yakuza 6 as well as Yakuza 7. Main difference for us in terms of gameplay is, as you can see, our GPU is already at about 100% workload, and our CPU is getting at right around to 65 degrees Celsius, which is really, really, really good. However, we are only getting around 35, 36 FPS. However, this game, as well as Kiwami 1, is on the ultra, is running right now on the ultra setting. And especially in these heat action scenes, you can see the difference in graphic graphics quality to older parts or parts that are not playing on the Dragon engine from Ryuga Gotoku. So yeah, pretty much what you can expect from Yakuza Kiwami 2 is a rather stable 30 FPS. Again, it's running on the much more demanding Dragon engine from Ryuga Gotoku. But that also means that we cannot, in comparison to Yakuza 3 or Yakuza 4 or Yakuza 5, put this game on Ultra and just expect it to run at like 60 frames per second. So, just like in Kiwami 1, I have now went and gone to the Theater Square, a rather crowded place in the fictional world of Kamurocho, which is supposed to kind of be an homage to Japan's red light district, Kabukicho. So, yeah. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful, stunning game. And if you were to, let's say, crank down the graphics to like high or medium, no doubt in my mind that you could get 60 FPS from it. So now that we've done a little bit of sightseeing here, let's move on to Yakuza 3. So now we're looking at Yakuza 3, one of the not so beloved remakes, because Yakuza 3, even though it's visually very, very, very pretty, like to this day, the combat in Yakuza 3, something that fans would argue one of the pillars of Yakuza games, is rather slow and sluggish in comparison to the other following and prior parts, since enemies, especially bosses in this game, tend to block so much more than what they used to do in the prior parts and after this part, the following parts. However, as you can see, we are running this game right now on Ultra mode, so everything is enhanced to the maximum. We are basically running this game at 60 frames per second. Right now it's dipping down every so often to the mid 50s, like 55, 56. Now at a very crowded place like this alley, we are hitting mid to low 40s right now. However, I would wager the average frames per second to still be 60 if you were to average them out. So, and what's really, really commendable from GPD is, again, the cooling solution on this device is absolutely immaculate. We're pretty much using like the maximum standard TDP we have. I'm currently on the up mode in the BIOS, so I'm running 25 watt to 28 watt TDP currently, and the device is still very, very cool to the touch. I remember the times with the GPD Win, with the first GPD Win one, or with the GPD Win, the first device, or the first clamshell tiny computer they released, which would get so hot that you couldn't even hold the device anymore. So seeing a device, first off the chip inside this device running so cool at only 65 degrees Celsius, and seeing how cool the whole unit itself is absolutely mind-blowing for me currently. So, again, as I did with all the other Yakuza games, completely maxed out the graphic quality of this game. And just running around, going around in Kamurocho, we are fluctuating between 60 to every so often going down as far as 45 frames per second. And right now we are in a rather crowded area of this fictional town. So it's running very, very, very smooth. There we go. Bumping into a lot of people here. And one last fight, and then I'm going to end this segment off and go straight on over to Yakuza 4 and then 5. So, I have, in other news, started playing on this device some Switch games. So if you'd like to see a game where I test out maybe, or a compilation, a video compilation, if you'd like to see me do a comparison between games that run on the Switch and have PC ports and make me or want me to compare the graphic quality, the frames per second. Like one game I really want to compare, switch to GPD Win 3, would be Outer Worlds. And if you'd like to, I can even play some Switch exclusive titles. I've tried for just to name one, I've tried Super Mario Odyssey, and the game pretty much runs as smooth as it does on the Nintendo Switch. So if you'd like to see a comparison Switch versus the GPD Win 3, please let me know in commenting or liking the video, because that's the best way for me to gauge your interest and actually see if you guys would like to see that. If you guys, however, as I said last time, have other video suggestions, please don't be shy, put them down in the comment section and I'll be sure to get to them, because doing this video suggestions is actually a lot of fun. So, let's move on to the next one. So, this is Yakuza 4. We're currently playing as one of the 4 protagonists in this game, which is called Akiyama. I really did dig this game, because it was just honestly such a refreshing change of pace to play other characters other than the main character we had since Yakuza 0, which was Kazuma Kiryu. And yeah, I have this game as well on ultra settings, best graphical quality I can get, and we are pretty much, in terms of power usage, power limit, hitting the same 25 watts we have been hitting on the other Yakuza parts. And frames per second wise, it's pretty much the same story here. So really the main difference, or shall I say, the games where you're going to encounter more frame lag are going to be those in the who are built in the Dragon engine. So talking about Kiwami 2, Like a Dragon, and of course the first game who actually use the Dragon engine properly, Yakuza 6. So these games will probably only, quote unquote, run at 30 FPS if you decide to crank it all the way up to Ultra. However, pretty much the other games, who I don't know how this particular engine is called, so I don't even want to suggest otherwise. However, in these games you can pretty much expect to just crank up the graphical quality and expect it to run at around pretty much 50 to 60 FPS. Every so often dipping under 50, but that's only pretty much in very, very, very crowded areas. You could of course always, if you like to keep the rather high graphical quality, you can always turn down the population density in the settings of these games. So you would just have less NPCs rendered on the streets and in the shops, etc. So if you still want to get a very smooth experience with the highest settings possible, let me just quickly show you. You can achieve that most likely by going down here into options, graphics, and going into advanced. So ooh, my bad. That was only in Yakuza 0 apparently. So if you'd like to, you can just set the render distance down to far and not ultra. Let's apply these. And already it's making actually no difference at all. So I'd have to play with the options on these games a little bit more to actually completely get the best performance while getting the best look out of them. However, it's still a very fun experience on this device, and honestly probably an experience I would not otherwise had if it weren't for GPD's handheld devices. Yeah, that's Yakuza 4, and now let's quickly go over to our last part of this video, Yakuza 5. And I'll see you in a minute. Welcome back, and welcome back to Yakuza 5 Remastered. So, this is the last game we're going to take a look at today. Sadly so, not because I don't own 6 and Like a Dragon, but I haven't finished playing Yakuza 5. So I'm very sorry. Once I get around to finishing Yakuza 5, I'm sure I will do an updated version where I will include just 6 and 7 and showcase them properly. However, as to avoid myself getting spoiled, and many Yakuza players can probably see that I haven't done too much in this game yet, sadly so. All I've done basically in this game is pretty much the taxi sub-story. So, but to be fair, to be real honest with y'all, there is absolutely no reason for the driving minigame in a beat-em-up like Yakuza to be this good. Like, honestly, I had so much fun just driving around and driving people, as a matter of fact, around to their destinations and just playing as a taxi driver. So, absolutely incredible. No reason at all for a beat-em-up style game like Yakuza to have such an amazing side story where you drive cars, absolutely phenomenal. So basically, is it ever gonna turn green? See, that's the only part I do not like about this game, and that is, oh, come the frick on, my bad. Who did I hit? I swear to God, it's so hard playing this game through the viewfinder. I'm so sorry, guys. That's atrocious. So let's quickly quit out, because this is probably not the most graphically demanding part of this game. So, again, just as the other parts, simply for comparison's sake, I have set this one to ultra quality as well, just to pretty much make it easier for us to compare these games and their graphical qualities. Again, still an absolutely stunning game. Very beautiful looking. Even more so on a tiny device such as the GPD Win 3. And fun story about this, the taxi minigame pretty much doesn't require you to have analog triggers, but they are, if you want a perfect score, they are necessary. Because this game has something like a penalty for sudden acceleration, which is the only acceleration you can do with digital shoulder pads, like the Win Max had. So I'm heavily considering right now actually restarting from a prior save and replaying all the taxi missions, just so I can get the perfect scores on these. So one of the things I didn't think I would like as much as I currently do are these analog triggers from emulation, so GameCube emulation with Mario Sunshine. It's an absolute, really, it's a game changer for me. So yeah. So Yakuza 5 is gonna be the point where I have to stop this video today, because as I've already said, I'm so sorry. However, I have not been able to play much Yakuza, so I'm still not done with 5. However, guys, as I've already said in the last video, I've got a couple recommendations and suggestions which I will be doing. I'm currently downloading Final Fantasy 14 online, as well as I have already pre-ordered Biomutant, which is supposed to come out on the 25th of May, which I'm really looking forward to. And as I've already said in this video, if you'd like a comparison between the Nintendo Switch and the GPD Win 3, of course kind of an unfair comparison, because this is like, the GPD Win 3 is like 3 times more pricey than the Switch is. But if you'd like to see the comparison anyway, please like the video and post it in the comments. That's the best way for me to gauge your interest. And if you do not like to see the comparison, leave me some suggestions. Tell me why you wouldn't want to see that video. Tell me why you would like to see that video. What kind of games you want to see being compared between the two. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. This has been your boy Barry, and goodbye.